Hey everybody, welcome to Fit Tip Tuesday. Today I'm kicking off my season of gratitude and giving back with a really fun project. I'm going to have several projects that I'm going to share with you here on my YouTube channel and on Instagram. This project is called Hats for Hope, and I just want to give a little backstory. My brother and sister-in-law are working as a team to help people in need in Middletown, Connecticut. And my brother owns a pizza restaurant, so he is making batches of sandwiches and other things to eat. And my sister-in-law is sharing them and, going downtown and just helping people who need it. I was thinking of a way that I could participate and help with this, and I thought of this really cool idea. As you know, I'm a budding knitter, and I knit this hat here, and it's on big needles and big yarn, and it took less than a ball of big yarn, and it took me less than a day to make. Now, I'm a really slow knitter. Here, I'll model it for you. Okay, I'm a really slow knitter, and I was able to make it very quickly. So I know I have some friends who are also knitters and sewers. So I'm showing you this hat because if you want to participate and knit a hat, this is an example of like a really quick hat that you can make. I will put a link to the pattern below. I found it on Ravelry. It's a hat by Bee Knit Handmade. It's very easy to do because again, I'm not an expert knitter. But if you're not a knitter and you want to participate with me, I'm going to show you how to make a fleece version. And this is my fleece version. Okay, this does not have the, you can put the little hanging tassels and a pom-pom on top if you want to. But the reason why I picked this style is you can see from my side view, it covers your ears, and literally I can make it in 5 minutes. So during this Fit Tip Tuesday, I'm going to show you how to make this hat. Now here's how this project is going to go. I'm going to put my mailing address in the description below. If you want to participate and you can download the free pattern on my website, I'll put a link for that. And if you want to make either the fleece version or make a knitted hat, and it could be any knitted pattern, and it really could be any fleece pattern as well. So if you're not in, if you don't love the one that I'm going to show you today and you have a cool pattern that you like, if you send me a hat, I will send you a coupon code for a free PDF pattern on my website. So that's my kind of way to thank you for participating. So I think this is going to be fun. And what I'll do is I will collect the hats and give them to my sister-in-law, and she will be distributing them to people who need them, as the weather gets colder. So I think this is going to be really cool. So let me show you the pattern. You can see in front of me, it's a downloadable pattern. It comes on two 8 by, standard 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper. And there's a scale check. And I just made one size. It's sort of an adult size fits all. If you have other patterns that you want to try, feel free to make whatever you like. The whole idea is just to help people stay warm this winter. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly cut this out. When you work with fleece, it's much better to cut the pattern out before you use it to cut out fleece pieces because fleece has loft to it. And if you try to cut the paper through, cut the fabric through the paper, you'll end up tearing your pattern. So I'm just going to quickly cut this out. So this is the crown, and we're going to need to cut 4 of these. And this is the brim, and we're going to cut 2. So the brim will be lined for extra warmth and to finish the lower edge. And the top will be a single layer. And you can start your watch because you're going to be surprised how quick this hat goes together. All right, so I have 2 colors of fleece. For this one, maybe I'll use the green for the crown because for the first version I used the brim was green. So the first thing you want to check is and I'm going to add this to the pattern before I upload it to my online store for you to have a copy of. You really want the stretch of the fleece to be going in the in this direction. And now that I'm looking at this, I think I need to add this. So I will add this to the pattern so it will be there for you. But basically, this is the direction of the stretch. And usually fleece is stretchy or more stretchy in one direction than the other. So you want to make sure your stretch is going across the width of the pieces. So what I'm going to do is, here's some fleece, and I'll just show you what I mean by this. You can see that there's almost no stretch going this way, but if I turn it this way, see, it's a lot more stretchy. I'm going to fold this so I can cut out 2 crowns at once. Okay, so, I'm just going to fold it enough to be the width of the pattern piece. Okay, so I think I can fit, can I fit 2? I might be able to fit 2 here. Let's see. Get this all the way up to the top. Okay, so I'm quickly going to cut out these. Okay, so there's 2. Now let me just cut out 2 more. I'm hoping it'll fit on here, we'll see. Ew, I think we just make it. That's perfect. All right, so let me cut these out. I'm using my giant rotary cutter because I lost my 45mm one somewhere in this room. All right, so I've got my 4 crown pieces. Now I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to cut out my brim. And when I cut out my brim, again, it's really important to make sure that we're going with the stretch. So again, there's no stretch going this way, but I have stretch going this way. All right, so I'm going to fold this in half along the selvage here, and I'm going to cut 2 of these on the fold. All right, so the center front is here, so that's how I'm going to cut this out on the fold. Okay. All right, there's 1. Let's cut 1 more. All right, let's see. All right, so now I've got all my pieces cut out. That was really quick. Let's look at the markings on the pattern itself. This notch up at the top edge, that's where the seam is going to go when we sew the crown sections together. And you can see the side that's more slanted is the center front and center back, and this side is sort of the sides. So this is the side we're going to actually match together with the notch on the brim. So if you wanted to transfer that notch over, you totally could do that. So basically, let me see, my notch is going to be, like right here and right here. And you really only need to notch 1 piece of it, because what we're going to do is we're going to sew these brims together. So I've marked really the notch that matters. I'm going to keep my 2 sets of crown together, because the first thing we're going to do is sew this side. So I'm going to put one of these Wonder Clips on the side that we're going to sew first here. So I'm going to sew these 2 edges first to make, a half of a crown, and then we'll sew the crown together. And for my brim, I'm going to open them up, and I'm going to put them right sides together. So this bigger side, and it kind of comes into a soft V here. This is our center front, okay? So I'm going to just match these up. And what we're going to do is we are going to sew from like this down here. This is going to be in the back, center back, around the bottom edge of the brim and up the other side. Okay, so we're going to do that. And I'm just going to use some of my really nice Wonder Clips here to hold my fleece together so nothing slides. And then we're going to go to the sewing machine. I'm going to do it on the sewing machine because it will allow me to press my seam allowances open or finger press them open to reduce bulk when I put the pieces together. Okay, so here is my brim and here are my crown pieces. Let me drag my sewing machine over. All right, I'm at the sewing machine. I'm just going to start with the crown pieces. Now, if you have trouble with your sewing machine starting right on the edge, I'm just going to put a piece of feeder paper back here to keep it from sinking into the, into the zigzag hole in the needle plate. And we're just going to stitch. I'm just doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. Okay, and then I'm just going to get right on the next one. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put the crowns aside for now, and let's just do the brim here for a second. So I'm going to start on one edge, and I like to use the paper at the beginning here. So again, about a 1/4 inch. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my corner, and I'm going to go along the bottom edge of the hat. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to take this paper off here. All right, so I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm just going to clip, this corner, and I'll just get in there and just sort of give it a little haircut there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other corner. Okay, then I'm going to turn this to the right side. You can see this is really simple. You don't even need your iron for this. All right, so here's my brim. Okay, and this is the bottom edge. Okay, and this is the top edge. So this is all ready for the crown. So I'm just going to put that aside for now. Now let's look at our sewn pieces for the crown. You can see we've got half of a crown, and here's the other half of the crown. So I'm going to put them right sides together, and this is what I'm talking about using the sewing machine. Up at the top here, I'm going to lay those seam allowances flat, and that'll just reduce the bulk a little bit. All right, so I'm going to just pin it together down here too. And over here. And now I'm going to go back to the sewing machine. All right, so we are just going to sew. Got my paper that I like to use, and I'm just going to sew right along the edge here. Okay, when I get to my top seam, I'm just going to make sure those seam allowances are all staying where I wanted them to stay. I'll lift this up. I'm going to make sure. Yep. Okay, the nice thing about working with fleece is if it's not perfectly stitched, it's still going to look perfect. Fleece is very, very forgiving. Okay, so here is our completed crown. Okay. And it looks tiny because the brim is really almost half of the height of the hat. You can see that that really adds to the height. All right, so to pin the brim to the crown, we're going to do right sides together. When you lay it flat, this was my more curved edge. This is the side that's going to be the front and back. So I'm going to pick one of those and I'm going to make that the back. And we're going to, again, press our seam allowance open and we're going to pin the brim right sides together with the hat like this. I think I'm going to actually use pins for this so it'll stay put. And then I'm going to wrap it around the entire hat and I'm going to put the other end butted up against it like this. All right, and then basically the crown fits in the hat. If you want to match those notches that we marked on the side, you can. But when I pin those side seams in the crown, I'm going to just make sure I pin them so those seam allowances are open, and I can use my Wonder Clips for that. So say like that. Okay, so center front, I'm going to make sure I have that right at that little subtle V so it doesn't look crooked. And we'll put a clip there. And again, I'll just put a pin over here or a clip over here. Okay, so we're pinning the two edges of the brim together with the hat, like this. Okay, so it looks like this now. Okay, so our next step is we're going to go back to the sewing machine and sew it. All right, so I'm going to just stick this under here, and it really doesn't matter where you start. But I'm going to get all 3 layers under there. And we're just going to sew this around. I'm sewing with the crown on the inside so I can see that I'm sewing those seam allowances flat. You know, I want to make sure that my, when I come to the center back seam, I'm going to stitch and I'm going to make sure before I get to the actual center back seam, I know I'm pushing that brim piece towards it, and then when I get over the center back seam, I'm just going to make sure that you know, that all stays nice and snug. I'm going to hand walk it so my needle doesn't get killed on those 2 pins. I'm going to leave those pins in there. I'm going to hand walk it over the back. And then once I'm sure I've passed the pin, I can let it rip to finish up. Okay, so we're almost done. Okay. I'm just going to overlap my start point. Okay. All right, let's look and see what our hat looks like now. There it is. That's the hat. It's very quick and easy. I'll just model it for you. See, I think this is a nice cozy design. My ears are covered. The first thing is I'm going to go back to the sewing machine and I'm just going to catch these seam allowances. I'm just going to put a little tack there to reinforce those ends. If you wanted to stitch all the way around and top stitch it, you could. I'm trying to kind of make this a really sort of a quick and easy project. So just so it doesn't pull apart when people are taking it on and off, if you just fold those seam allowances up, and I'm literally just gonna sew maybe a half an inch to hold them up and to keep it from pulling apart. All right, let's see how that looks. So see, it's just a little line there, and that'll keep that secure so it doesn't pull apart. So now for some extra bits, let's say you wanted to add some of these tassels. I have a really quick way to do that. Let me show you. For my tassels, I will use the brown because the brim is brown. And I have this June Taylor shape cut. And the reason why this is really cool is because I can position it. And actually, I think what I'm going to do is let me fold my fleece in half like this. Okay, so my fleece is folded in half. I'm going to line my ruler up so that the lines are lining up with the fold. I have the lines on the ruler, and then I can take my rotary cutter and I can just cut through on these grooves. So I need 3 for each braid. Take off the ruler, see how it made all these strips? And actually, I can see I missed one here, so I'm just going to use the side of this to cut this one in half. So if you miss one, don't worry, you can just, you know, fix it like that. We're going to use 3 for each side. To get it to go through, I'm going to take a small scissor here, and I'm literally going to just pinch a little hole or poke a little hole through my fleece like this with my scissors. Then I'm going to use the large eye needle to pull that through. And because it's, you know, it's fleece, I think I have to do each one separately here. I mean, if you have another doodad that'll let you feed them all through at once, that's good, but it just takes a second to feed them through the hole like this. Okay, so let's see. All right, so I've got that through. All right, so now once I get 3 of them through, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just even them up and make sure the edges are pretty even. I'm going to make sure they're even with each other too, like this. And the first thing is I'm just going to tie a quick knot up at the top. Like that. And then we're just going to braid this. So I'm going to use 2 like this, and we'll just braid. And to help it stay put, I can use a pin in my cut and press board to kind of hold it there for me. So see, I'm just literally braiding a short tassel here. You can make them as long as you want. And certainly this part of the hat is optional. You know, if you don't want to fuss with this, I understand. But if you want to add it, you can too. So I'm going to braid it till it's almost to the bottom. And then I'm just going to, I think instead of tying a knot here, I'm just going to use a piece of a strip of fleece to tie a square knot. So right over left, and then left over right to make a square knot. And then actually I can cut that part even. Okay, so I've got this nice tassel. I think it just adds a little bit have a tassel. Okay, and then I'm just going to do the other side really quick. So the first thing is right in the corner, I'm just going to poke a hole, corner of my brim here. All right, and then okay. All right. Okay, so again, we're just going to even these up. So if I start with the short side, and just make sure they're relatively even. Okay, and then I'm just going to quickly, just tie a one, like half a knot really. I'm just going to do that just to secure them there. Okay, and then we'll just braid these. And again, I think having the pin on a cut and press board or ironing board just makes it really easy. Okay, so we're just gonna braid. Okay. Excellent. So when I get down to the bottom where it's enough for a tassel, I'll use another strip to tie it like this. Again, left over right and then right over left. All right, and then you can all right, so there we are. So now we have the hat. All right, so this is the hat. Whether you want to do the tassels or not, that's up to you. Plain is fine too. I think it's cute. You can do them solid colors. You can do them coordinating colors. I will put the link for the pattern and my mailing address in the description below. If you send me a hat, just include your email address and I will send you a coupon code for a free PDF pattern on my website. So I hope you consider participating. I think this will be fun. I'm hoping to collect some of these hats to give to my sister-in-law so she can distribute them to people who need them. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you this Friday for FabFit Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time live for another fun new project.